In this, tonight, the 800th game in the history of Great American Ballpark. It marks the final series ever between the Reds and the Astros as National League affiliates as the Astros move next year to the American League. Tonight, game one of a weekend get-together, Houston and Cincinnati, here on Fox Sports Ohio. Hi, and a pleasant good evening, and welcome to Reds Baseball. Along with Chris Wells, Jim Couch, we're at Great American Ballpark. The Astros in town for that final time ever. As we mentioned, they move to the American League next year. The Reds just played them down there last year and took 2 out of 3. Should say last weekend took 2 out of 3, so they try to get the best of them again here this weekend. If you've looked at the lineup for tonight's game, you see, yes, Joey Votto is in there, Chris, for the second night in a row, and that makes all Reds fans happy.
Well, you're not kidding about that. It took a long time for Joey Votto to get back off his knee injury, then back on the field. But when he did against the Philadelphia Phillies, who else against except multi-Cy Young Award winner Roy Halladay? I always thought it was very interesting the quip that Halladay said after the ball game about Joey Votto. He said, you know what? I thought he'd be a lot rustier than he was. He swung the bat very well. He looked good at the plate. He'll tell you that he's not 100%, but Joey Votto, when he gets into the groove, he's the kind of player that can carry this ball club.
Now he gets back into the lineup. I mean, there's another left-handed bat in there to go along with Jay Bruce. And boy, when you mention Jay Bruce's name, how hot has this guy been? Unbelievable.
Well, unbelievable, especially when it comes to the long ball. Name of 4 games in a row that Jay Bruce has gone deep. So 4 bombs in 4 days. One more and he ties guys like Ted Kluszewski and Ken Griffey Jr. and Adam Dunn, and he's thinking about doing that tonight against a right-hander named Lucas Harrell. And you just wonder if Jay Bruce, the Beaumont Bomber, if he's able to go 5 in a row, this time against his old hometown team, the Houston Astros.
Remember, Bruce sat those 2 games out in Chicago. Dusty said he needs some time, maybe next to me on the bench. And this is what he's done since that time.
He's been the hottest hitter in baseball. Bottom line right there. You see the number of home runs, 11 of them, 26 runs batted in. I mean, he's been the main cog in this lineup. And remember, during that time, he's been the only left-hander in that lineup as well. So, you know, if you're the opposing pitcher and you're a right-hander, you've got all the reasons in the world why you'd pitch around Jay Bruce. Well, they're pitching to him, and he is making them pay for that.
Well, tonight, a rematch of last Saturday's game down in Houston. That means Texas native Homer Bailey, 10-game winner against right-hander Lucas Harrell, also a 10-game winner. He's going for the Astros. First game of the weekend get-together tonight here at Great American Ballpark. Let's get more on that. Here's Michelle Boudelet from WKRC.
It'll be a muggy evening at the ballpark once again, but we'll introduce the chance for a few showers and thunderstorms early in the game. A slightly better chance later in the game simply because a cold front's getting closer to us. Breezy as well. Temperatures will start in the lower 80s and will end the night with temperatures in the mid 70s. Watch out. Any one of those showers or thunderstorms could be strong with some heavy rain. We'll be watching it for you. For Fox Sports Ohio, I'm Local 12 meteorologist Michelle Boudelet.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much. Pitching matchup tonight, Chris. Lucas Harrell will talk about first. Fourth time the Reds have seen him.
Well, he's been pretty good against the Reds. You can see the last couple of games he's pitched against the Reds, and that was this year. One of those was a matchup against Homer Bailey the last time the Reds were in Houston. He throws a lot of fastballs, Harrell does, and he gets a lot of ground balls with that fastball. But the interesting thing about these two pitchers, they're near each other in age, but they pitch opposite when they're at home and on the road. For instance, when Lucas Harrell's on the road, he's terrible. When Homer Bailey's on the road, he's great. When Lucas Harrell is at home in the Minute Maid Park, Homer Bailey is not nearly as good here at Great American Ballpark, but he hopes to change that around because obviously if you're one of the top starters on the Reds ball club right now, the top four, you're going to be on this playoff roster. So he is pitching right now for his playoff life, and it would be very worthwhile for Homer to show his ball club that he can come out here and pitch real well right here at Great American Ballpark.
All right, well, the Reds have done very well against the Stros this year. 9 out of 12 in the win column. They're trying to keep that going here tonight at GABP. ...2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year by the Regional Tourism Network. Let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati, USA. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili today. Inside Great American Ballpark on a beautiful Friday night here, September the 7th. It's the 139th game of the 2012 championship season. There's the interim skipper of the Astros, Tony DeFrancesco. He's managed his club now for just over 2 weeks. He's won 3, lost 13, and he visits Cincinnati for the first time as a skipper. And here's the lineup that he puts out there tonight. Jose Altuve, Jimmy Paredes, and Brett Wallace at the top. Justin Maxwell, Fernando Martinez, and Matt Downs in the middle. Chris Snyder, Tyler Green, and rounded out ninth pitching is Lucas Harrell. On the mound for the Redlegs, number 28 in terms of starts, Homer Bailey.
Well, Homer Bailey, number 28 as far as his starts. Yes, he's got 17 quality starts. That puts him only second on his ball club behind Johnny Cueto. So that 10-9 record really could be a little bit better than what Homer is sporting out there right now. He just needs to figure out a way to pitch well right here in Cincinnati.
Homer making his 5th try at victory number 11, and the first pitch is lined out in the left field. Drops in front of Ludwig for a base hit. Jose Altuve leads things off with a first pitch base hit. Take a look at the Reds defensively now, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Behind Homer Bailey, Ludwig, Heisey, and Bruce across the outfield. Infield includes Frazier and Valdez left side, Phillips, Votto right side. Battery of Dioner Navarro catching Homer Bailey. Chris, obviously some different look out there for the Reds defensively, with the back injuries to Roland and Cozart most prominent.
Well, you're right about that. Cozart is getting a little bit better, but they still want to make sure that he's 100% before he gets back in the lineup. And Roland is going through one of those times when, from time to time, he wakes up, his back locks up a little bit, and he's going to be out of the lineup for a couple of days. So, you know, give the young guys a chance to play. Give Wilson Valdez, a backup player, a chance to play a couple of days in a row and see if he gets his rhythm.
Runner is going. The pitch was inside, and no throw made by Navarro. That is stolen base number 29 for Jose Altuve.
Well, Altuve really represents the only stolen base threat the Astros have. They get this leadoff hitter on. He's got good speed. He's a nice base runner as well. Smart player. And of course, Homer Bailey, that's one area that still needs to be tightened up a little bit, is holding runners on.
Well, immediately the Astros, which have not been a very good team hitting with runners in scoring position from the get-go this year, come in at only .238, which ranks 14th in the National League, have an opportunity. Paredes lifts this ball to left, and Ludwig will handle it for out number 1. Cincinnati fans watching this game tonight, Chris, will look at this Houston lineup and say, now who is that? Who is that? There's a lot of names you don't recognize out there.
Oh, that would include me. I mean, and we just saw them. Actually, you know, the joke around here is that everybody calls up players to expand their rosters in September. The Astros did the same thing, but they got the jump on everybody else by calling up a lot of these players earlier in the year, like in June and July, when they made trades of veteran players in order to get younger, cheaper, and they've got a lot of prospects. This young man, Brett Wallace, expects to be around for a while.
Wallace is a little bit older than most of the guys in which they have called up, but boy, he has been hitting the ball very well as of late. Wallace is 26 years old, hitting .287 with 7 homers, 17 driven in. All those home runs, by the way, have come on the road this year for Wallace. And a nice series in Pittsburgh prior to the Astros' arrival here. They won the first game there and then lost Tuesday and Wednesday, like the Reds were off yesterday. And he is taken care of very quickly, and the strikeout of Bailey means out number 2.
You know, the one thing you notice about Homer Bailey this year is that rarely early in the ball game do you see him rear back and throw the ball 94 or 95. He has that in his tank, but he normally doesn't bring it out at that speed until later in the ball game. But nonetheless, his control is better. He's able to climb the ladder as he did right there. Nice pitch up against the left-handed hitter, and he just blew Wallace away.
Here's Justin Maxwell, their center fielder. Cleanup man at .228 with 13 homers. He's driven in 39. Maxwell has a couple of hits, including a home run against the offerings of Homer Bailey this year, hitless in the Pittsburgh series. He leads his current collection of Astros in home runs with 13. Leadoff single by Altuve and a stolen base, but he has stayed put as Paredes flied to left. Wallace struck out. Now Homer, who is undefeated in 7 career starts against the Astros at 4-0 with a 1.29 ERA against them, looks to hang a 0 here in the first. Reds continuing what is a long homestand. They had the Phillies here lost 2 out of 3. Astros here for the weekend, and then the Pirates in early next week. Bailey's last start was against this Houston ball club. 1 run, 3 hits in 8 innings. That was in that 2-1 loss last Saturday down there in Houston, when the Astros were able to score the winning run on that ball that went right between the wickets. Wilson Valdez, who had taken over at second base for Brandon Phillips. You remember he had been ejected from that game.
Well, really, Homer Bailey's last 2 starts that have been outstanding. His last 2 shutout starts, if you want to say it that way, have been against the Astros going back to July the 25th. Last time out as well. Both of those efforts where they went at least 7 innings and did not give up a run.
Gets the fly ball here, but it's going to carry very well and leave the ballpark. That's the 14th of the year for Justin Maxwell, his 2nd career-wise against Bailey, and the Astros jump out in front early.
Well, not a high batting average, but he does have some power, and he's got nice long arms. Justin Maxwell does, and he connects this one. I think that was supposed to be a cut fastball to run that ball away from the right-handed hitting Maxwell, and the ball just stayed outer third, and Maxwell, with good plate coverage, puts the Astros on top.
And now it's Fernando Martinez, one of 2 Martinez on this team. They're not related. The other is J.D. Martinez, who was recently recalled after September 1st rolled around from their AAA club. Fernando in 24 games here, 200 average with 3 home runs. To Phillips on the right side, and he and Votto dispose of Martinez, ending the top of the 1st. But thanks to Maxwell's home run, the Astros strike first. Game as the head man of the Cincinnati ball club, passing Pete Rose for 5th all-time in games managed for the Redlegs. And here's the lineup card that he presents tonight. Brandon Phillips, Chris Heisey, and Joey Votto at the top. Ryan Ludwig, Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier, the middle 3, and then Deanna Navarro, Wilson Valdez, and Homer Bailey against the right-hander. And like Bailey facing the Astros a 2nd straight time, that's the same story for Lucas Harrell.
Well, you're right about that. He's got a good earned run average, Lucas Harrell does, despite only a 10-9 record. He really is only in his 2nd year in the major leagues. He still qualifies as a rookie, even though he's now 27 years old. So he's an old rookie from that standpoint. But he's come on the scene this year and easily established himself as the best Astro starter.
6'2", 210 out of Springfield, Missouri. Drafted initially by the White Sox and then claimed in July of last year by the Astros. Chris mentioned 10-9 on the year, 11-11 in his career. So with the White Sox, in 3 games, he had 1 decision, a win, They're counting on this guy for the future, though, aren't they?
Well, they are. I mean, he's a former #1 draft pick. He went to Ozark High School, very small town down in the southern part of Missouri. And he throws a lot of fastballs, and that's the thing that you'll see out of him tonight. He'll throw nearly 70% fastballs up there, which for a major league pitcher is on the very high side. I mean, average among major leaguers is around 60%. So he believes in going right after the hitters with that heater.
He threw a very, very good game against the Reds down in Houston last Saturday. In fact, both he and Bailey are on top of their game in that one. Harrell went 7, allowed 1 run, 7 hits. The only Reds run came in the first inning, and really that has been a bit of an issue for Harrell this year. A 6 ERA in the first inning of his starts this season. Phillips at 294, 15 homers. Leads National League second baseman. In fact, leads big league second baseman with 71 runs batted in. And as you can see, he's done very well against Astros pitching so far in 2012. Brandon moved back into the leadoff spot here on Wednesday. His first game back up there with Votto's return. He went 0 for 4 in that game, but I think everybody would rather see him there, including himself, more than anyone else.
Yeah, and kind of get settled back into it because your mindset is different than it is when you hit down number 3, number 4. And of course, he hit both those spots with the absence of Votto.
That's going to be a base hit for Phillips, and the tying run will come to the plate here in the bottom of the first. Take a look at the Astros defensively behind Harrell, brought to you by your Ford dealers. They have Fernando Martinez out in left, Justin Maxwell, Jimmy Paredes across the outfield, Matt Downs, Tyler Green, Jose Altuve, and Brett Wallace on the infield. Chris Snyder, the veteran, catches the 27-year-old Lucas Harrell. Here's Chris Heisey. Heisey brings a 6-game hitting streak into this one, equals his longest hitting streak of the year. He also had a 6-gamer back in June. Heisey started the game in center on Wednesday, had a pair of hits, 2 for 4, plus a run scored. Stubbs had the day off Wednesday, gets the day off again today. Dusty Baker said before the game, making some changes to the approach of Drew Stubbs.
Well, and I think really what that means from a mechanical standpoint is to try to slow him down a little bit, try to get him ready much earlier in the pitch delivery for him to swing the bat.
By the pitcher to the shortstop, barehand pick attempt there by Green, cannot come up with it. Safely aboard with an infield single is Chris Heisey, and boy, once that ball got by Harrell, you gave Heisey a pretty good shot.
Well, you're right about that, because Heisey runs very well. Even though he comes out of the right-handed batter's box, he gets a good jump. He gets jammed on this ball. A lot of arm side run from Lucas Harrell, but once that ball gets by the pitcher, shortstop Tyler Green's not going to make the play. And just like that, a little opposite field base hit with 2 strikes, a little squibber in the infield. The Reds have something going for their main man, Joey Votto, coming to the dish.
Well, isn't it nice to see him back in a uniform, back in that lineup again?
Well, nice for us to see, yes. Nice for the fans to see, but nicest for Dusty Baker to be able to pencil him into that number 3 spot.
He gets back in there on Wednesday in his first at bat against Roy Halladay, lines a single out in the left center after 48 games out of the lineup.
Did you really expect anything different, though?
Well, he didn't do that certainly in his minor league rehab, but he had the adrenaline flowing, no doubt. In fact, had a pair of hits in the game on Wednesday, including a walk, so he was on base 3 times. He was asked after the game how his knee felt after the contest. He said, well, in the 8th inning, Antonio Bastardo buckled it with a breaking ball.
Wow, that was a pretty good pitch from a very tough lefty. And right here, Lucas Harrell just he respects Joey Votto. I mean, he knows Joey Votto is just coming off the disabled list, but that doesn't mean anything to the opposing pitcher. What you have in your mind of Joey Votto is a guy, you know, former MVP, small ballpark, green light on a 3-0 pitch. Don't look for this baby to be right down the middle.
4-pitch walk to Votto. Bases loaded, no one out here in the bottom of the first. Well, we talked about trouble that Harrell has had in the first inning this year, and let's hope the Reds can blow him up a little bit.
Well, this is where the game can get away from a young pitcher like Lucas Harrell. Yeah, 27, but he hasn't been in the big leagues all that long, and you know, they're trying to figure out a way in that dugout how to get this kid past the first inning without damage. And kind of an unfortunate inning so far for him. But now he's got bases loaded, middle of the order coming up. Number 4 hitter Ryan Ludwig, who's feeling a little bit better day by day.
It's been a long home run drought for Ryan Ludwig as he stands in there. He hit a pair of home runs in the second game of that split doubleheader here against the Cubs on the 18th of August and has not homered since. 25 home runs, 72 batted in.
Well, the big thing for Ryan Ludwig, and he was talking to me before the ball game during batting practice, is not to chase a pitcher's pitch early in the count like that last one he just saw there. A breaking ball just off the plate. When you're really going bad and you're trying to make something happen, you'll swing at a pitch like that. Strike zone management right now for him.
In the hole, into left. 1 run will score. Heisey races to the plate. Brandon says, stay on your feet, young man. He scores. 2-2 game. RBI single Ludwig. 74 now in the RBI column. We talked about the fact he hasn't hit many home runs as of late. His RBI total really hadn't been building much in the last couple of weeks either, so that's good to see.
You know, I asked Ryan Ludwig last week, I said, do you believe in luck? And he said no. I said, what about a ball that finds the hole as opposed to right at the third baseman for a double play? Because that ball was just meant to go right there. And for the Reds in this inning, that ground ball was meant to go right there between third and short, pick up 2 runs batted in instead of a double play ball.
Here's Jay Bruce now, 4 home runs in the last 4 days. He, of course, had that big one down in Houston. Hit one on Wednesday. This guy has been smoking hot.
Well, if you make a mistake, he's not fouling them off.
Showed you those numbers that Bruce has compiled since those back-to-back off days in Chicago, and it's really been amazing. 364 with 10 long ones, 24 batted in that time frame. Sits now second in the league with 32 homers, third with 93 batted in. This ball is caught in center by Maxwell, and that, the 5th batter of the inning, the first out, recorded by Lucas Harrell.
Well, that ball was smoked. That was the hardest hit ball of the inning. Go figure that. And it's the first out that Harrell gets.
First and second now with 1 out in the 2-2 game.
Well, Harrell's looking for a ground ball. Todd Frazier's looking to get the ball up and probably into right center field somewhere off of a guy that may cut the ball away from him.
Frazier at 289 with 18 homers. He's driven in 62.
That's the old straighten up fastball right there. Throw a little 2-seamer underneath his elbows and kind of get him off the dish, and then you work on him down and away, hope that he'll roll over on one. Harrell has thrown up 14 ground ball double plays, so he's pretty good at that.
Frazier in his last at bat of the game on Wednesday against Philly had a base hit, keeping his on base streak alive, which sits now at 28 straight games in which he's been on either via a hit, a walk, or hit by a pitch. That ties Joey Votto for the longest streak by a Reds player this year. Here's what he's done now in those 28 games that he has reached base safely. A .350 average, 5 and 20 the power numbers. He's another one whose RBI total has slacked off a little bit as of late. No RBIs in his last 7 games. This is a potential double play ball, 1 and 2, and the Astros get it. And from a bases loaded, no one out situation, the Reds get a pair, and we are even after 1. Serious injuries, call 1-800-ELK Ohio.
Well, there's all sorts of things you can compare Astros and Reds. The Reds are 9 and 3 over the last 12, but boy, look at the runs scored after the 6th inning. The Reds just murderized the Astro bullpen. That's the bottom line right there. Meanwhile, the Reds bullpen airtight as usual. Earned run average down around 2. So if this ball game is decided late in the ball game, definite advantage Reds.
Homer Bailey back to the mound. Even score at 2-2. Gave up 2 in the first. His mates get 2 back for him in the bottom half. Now Matt Downs is playing third base. Remember, he had a big pinch hit against the Reds down in Houston in that series down there. Lashes that ball foul. In fact, that came in the Saturday game when these 2 pitchers, Bailey and Harrell, hooked up. He pinch hit for Fernando Martinez, doubled off the Crawford box wall out in left field and missed a home run by about a foot that would have won the game. As it turned out, he scored the winning run anyway. Here he is a strikeout victim, number 2 for Bailey to start the second.
Both strikeouts for Homer Bailey been that high hard one right there, that good old Texas 4-seamer coming right on in there to Matt Downs. He got Brett Wallace that day going up the ladder that way, and Matt Downs the same way. They've got some players on this team who strike out, and they don't like to take too many walks, so they may be swinging early in the count hoping to get a Homer Bailey fastball.
Well, you're dead on about the strikeouts. They and the Pirates have each struck out over 1,100 times, the most in the National League.
Mind-boggling.
Snyder starts the game at 196 with 7 home runs. 2 out of 15 against Reds pitching. When this Houston club comes in here with a road record of only 14 wins on the year, the worst in the big leagues. 14 wins, 55 losses. Now Bailey takes care of Snyder as he did Downs via the K.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He did it exactly the same way with that fastball going right up the ladder, much to the chagrin of the interim field manager Tony DeFrancesca. Chris Snyder does have a home run in his career off of Homer Bailey, but he was a day late on that one.
Here's the former Cardinal player Tyler Green. He's the only everyday shortstop that they have on this club, and he has started something like 19 of the last 20 games at the shortstop spot, hitting only .226.
I guess that's job security, huh?
At least for now.
When you're the only guy that knows how to operate that particular spot.
Homer working in a hurry and throwing strikes, gets ahead here 1-2.
Looks like that home run that Justin Maxwell hit was a wake-up call to Homer Bailey. All of a sudden he's ratcheted up his fastball from 90 to 94, wasting no time at all.
Well, he mentioned he's making his 5th attempt as Homer Bailey at victory number 11. He picked up his 10th win of the year at Chicago on the 10th of August. So here he is almost a month later, still in search of number 11. Since that time, he pitched poorly in a loss against the Mets. Had a blown save in Philadelphia. Pitched poorly in a loss here against St. Louis. Pitched very, very well down in Houston, but the team lost 2-1 after he was out of the game. Phillips will throw out Tyler Green, and the Astros go in order here in the top of the second. ABP. We look forward to bringing you our Miller Time moment of the night a little bit later on, brought to you by Miller Lite. Reminder to take advantage of the Reds 4 for $48 ticket deal this weekend here at Great American Ballpark. For only $48, you get 4 view level tickets plus 4 Reds hats. Your Reds are on a mission to take the Central this season, and you can see it all for only $48. For tickets to see the Reds and the Astros, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Bottom of the second, Reds come calling against Lucas Harrell. Game tied at 2. Deanna Navarro, a switch hitter, batting left, giving the Reds 3 lefties in the lineup tonight. That's a rarity. Leads things off. Second straight start for the former All-Star from Tampa Bay. He had 2 hits, including a double and 4 at bats on Wednesday, and he's in there. And Dusty Baker told us down in Arizona on the last road trip that Navarro is now the #2 catcher on this club.
Yeah, if it wasn't official, it ought to be just by reading between the lines of who's getting playing time and who's not. So Dusty trying to get him familiar, Navarro that is, familiar with some of the pitchers on this staff.
And while Dusty doesn't like to talk about it, and in fact, if he is asked about doing this or doing that for the postseason, he always says, hey, we haven't accomplished anything yet. You know, this is in the back of their mind, looking at potential matchups for a playoff roster, wouldn't you guess?
Well, it is certainly, but I mean, what's their incentive for allowing you or John Fay or anybody from the media or press to get inside their heads right now and think about what they're thinking? I mean, all that stuff is behind closed doors. A lot of it is speculation. The Reds don't know who they're going to play. In fact, they may not know who they're going to play until after that play-in game is decided.
Right.
So they don't know where they're going to go. They're going to sit around the clubhouse with their suitcases packed, and you hope you have your pitching rotation set, but depending on who you're playing, that may change. So the Reds do have the advantage of being able to rest guys through the month of September, get them ready, get their pitching kind of in line, but you still don't have an answer to everything.
Well, what they do know is this: they could start tonight with an 8.5 game lead over St. Louis, a 10 game lead over Pittsburgh, a magic number to clinch the Central for the second time in the last 3 years of 17, meaning any combination of Reds wins, Cardinal losses equaling 17 will give them the division title. Cardinals will start in about 35 minutes at home against Milwaukee. The Pirates are at home against the Cubs and trailing 1-0 in the second. Here, a ball and 2 strikes to Wilson Valdez. Comes in under 200 at 196. Chance for Tyler Green. 2 out. Well, Bailey had a bounce back nice second after giving up 2 runs in the first, and Harrell trying to do the same here.
Well, it happens when you give up 2 runs in the first inning. Chances are you're going to pitch to 5 or 6 batters at least. So when you take the second inning, you're now facing the bottom of the order. That helped Homer Bailey, and so far it's helping Lucas Harrell.
Bailey 7 hits on the year, including 5 runs batted in. Papa John's is giving away 2 million. That's 2 million free pizzas to their Papa Rewards members over the next 4 months. If you aren't a Papa Rewards member, be sure to join at papajohns.com for your chance to win. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Yeah, looking at that wild card in the National League, there are 4 teams that really are still in the race. I'm not including the Diamondbacks in that. They're 6.5 games back and have 4 teams ahead of them.
Strike 3 called to Bailey. We'll venture more into that when we come back in the third. The Reds, like the Astros, go in order in the second. September the 7th. Who has the best chance, in your estimation, to win a postseason award amongst these five? Johnny Cueto, the Cy Young. Ryan Ludwig, Comeback Player of the Year. Todd Frazier, Rookie of the Year. Dusty Baker, Manager of the Year. Or Aroldis Chapman, also a candidate for Cy Young Award winner. Text 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 to 37664. Normal messaging rates apply. We'll show you some of the results a little bit later on. Well, you go many years where you have 0 players on your club that have a chance at a postseason award. Now this year, all sorts of them on this race.
It really is amazing. And it just goes to show you what a great blend of players they have, young and old, but it also goes to show you what it takes to have a championship year. You have to have somebody who is, in line or at least in a conversation for MVP. It helps to have someone in line or at least in the conversation for Cy Young Award or Relief Pitcher of the Year Award. And here, of course, you're throwing the added bonus of Frazier and Cozart. Rookie of the Year, Brandon Phillips picking up another Golden Glove. So there's a lot of hardware going to be given out to these guys this year.
Keep in mind this, Chris, that if Votto hadn't missed 48 games, we'd have probably had his picture up there as well as potential MVP again.
Yeah, you're right. He will not be able to qualify for the batting title, Joey Votto. There just simply aren't enough games left and enough at bats in those games to get him the minimum.
Yeah, you need 3.1 plate appearances for your 162 games that your team plays. That gives a player needing 502.2 plate appearances for the season. And Votto is just going to come up short of that because of the games he missed. Now, we were looking the other day also, Melky Cabrera is going to come up short. He leads the league in hitting, but you can add plate appearances at bats, really, and add those into your total to get there. And if you still lead the league, you can win the batting title that way.
You're right, and that's an odd thing. And wouldn't it be ironic for Major League Baseball to have a guy who would win the batting title yet is on the suspension list because he tested positive for performance enhancing drugs? That, I'm sure, is something the decision makers at MLB would hate to see happen. And I'm right there with them.
Yeah, looking at the numbers of Votto, he needs basically 5.3 plate appearances per game the rest of the way if he played every game, and we know that's not going to happen, just to qualify. That's pushing it. Good news was after the game on Wednesday, he said he felt great, and had there been a game yesterday that he could have been in that lineup. Tampa retires Altuve, pitcher to the first baseman, so 2 out.
Yeah, Cabrera right now leads Andrew McCutchen by 1 point. Melky Cabrera 346 batting average, Andrew McCutchen 345, and then there's a 20-point drop off between there, meaning McCutchen and Buster Posey.
Six in a row now retired by Bailey since the home run ball. And there's Paredes with a solid single in the center field. Hit number 3 for the Astros. Go ahead run on with 2 out. Chris, we were talking earlier about the wild card race in the National League, and you mentioned 4 teams: Atlanta, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers. Looking at it this morning, there's a potential that 8 teams that were not in the postseason last year could be in this year. That's amazing.
Well, it is, and I think that was the whole design of Major League Baseball, to get more teams, more cities involved, so that these games in the month of September mean something down the stretch. You may not win the division, but if you get into the playoffs, you'll host at least 2 playoff games. Gives you something to get all juiced up about if you're, even a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have scuffled here in comparison to the Reds, but they're only 1.5 games back in that wild card. So they're certainly right in the thick of things.
Certainly the biggest race going right now is that American League East race with the Yankees and Baltimore. And what a surprise that that Baltimore team has been.
Well, they've been sensational, but in that wild card race in the American League, you've got 6 teams really in line to be a race right to the finish for 2 places. So really what you could have is a play-in game for the play-in game.
Would they have that?
If a couple of teams tied, yes.
Would they?
They'd have to play out to see who was the first two teams in the wild card. And then those first two teams in the wild card would play another play-in game, the winner of which would take on the division winner. So makes for a very interesting scenario, kind of a last-minute dash for the finish line.
Well, if that occurred, that would really put that team that came out of that a winner behind the 8-ball winner. They'd have used up everybody.
Yeah, but what would be the alternative is you go home.
Yeah.
So they'll take their chances with their number 3 starter or 4 starter, whoever it may be. Just give them a chance to get in the playoffs. I think if your Reds team was, say it was reversed, that God forbid, the Cardinals or the Pittsburgh Pirates were 8 games up on the Reds and the Reds are fighting for the wild card, you'd want them into the playoffs at whatever cost.
Sure.
Even if they had to win 2 play-in games to get there.
Wild throw by Bailey to first, eludes Votto, bounces off near the tarpaulin roll over there. That'll be an error on the pitcher, allowing Paredes to move into scoring position.
I'm not so sure about the obsession that Homer Bailey has right here with Jimmy Paredes. Paredes has a good lead, but he has exactly 0 stolen bases this year. So now with 2 outs, you put a runner in the scoring position. Brett Wallace dumps a little ball in the left field off the knuckles, and the Astros are able to pick up a run and break the tie. That's about where Homer Bailey wants him to hit it, too, on the knuckles by throwing him that inside fastball.
Wallace, a strikeout victim his first time against Homer, who has walked no one, fanned 4. Now he draws the first walk issued by Bailey, and so with the first 2 retired and nobody on, a hit, an error, and a walk, and the Astros have an opportunity in the 3rd.
Well, that looked like a good old-fashioned pitch around right there. That Homer Bailey, after he threw that first ball into Brett Wallace, really didn't feel comfortable going after him, so he's going to go after the guy that hit the home run off of him in the 1st inning. And I don't blame him. I mean, Paredes, or make it Justin Maxwell, hit a pitch that was really a cripple pitch on the part of a pitcher. He just threw it right up about belt high with not a whole lot on it. Give him a good pitch, and that same thing's not going to happen.
Hits it hard, but right at Brandon Phillips, and the Gold Glover will throw Maxwell out, and the Astros strand a pair here in the 3rd. We're even at 2. Here come the Reds in the bottom half. Signed during tonight's game, Jeremy Colwell from Cold Spring, Kentucky. will win this beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. You can register for your chance to win in an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Hitting the road, take Fox Sports Ohio's coverage of the Reds with you during 2012. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Reds out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Reds.com to order. Get all the details. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Phillips representing the top of the Reds order here in the home third. Base hit into right center to get the Reds' first inning started. Then he scored as part of that 2-run single by Ludwig. Reds had 2 in, 2 on, nobody out. But Bruce lined to center and Frazier bounced into the inning-ending double play back in the first. Phillips playing in the #1 spot this year for only the 8th time, 2012, but career-wise for the 130th time. He's done pretty well there.
Well, the game plan at the beginning of the year was to have Brandon Phillips at the top of the order. Then remember early on he strained his hamstring or his calf or something, and then he decided, well, Dusty Baker wanted to make sure that he took a little bit of the pressure off of Brandon Phillips in the #1 spot with a leg injury. So that's when he moved him down in the order behind Joey Votto. And of course, since Votto's been out, they needed another #3 and 4 hitter, and Brandon Phillips was the versatile guy.
Brandon is called out on strikes there, so now it's Heisey. When you look at the #1 spot in the order this year for the Reds, they have by far the worst batting average and on-base percentage out of the #1 hitter in the National League. Coming into this game at only .204 average, .247 on base. That's 16th. 15th are the Dodgers with a .232 average and a .285 on base percentage.
All right, so but if you're Dusty Baker, you're thinking, all right, how do I rectify that? What do I do? So you quick look up and down the lineup and say, hey, well, here's Ryan Hannigan. His on base percentage is .374. Maybe I should put him up towards the top of the line. Wouldn't lead off with a catcher, but the downside is that, you know, you have a guy that can't run very much well. I mean, he's a catcher. You may wear him out earlier and faster if you put him at the top of the order. So Dusty Baker has decided that the best choice that he has, given the personnel that he has, is to continue to run either Cozart or Stubbs. Tonight, Brandon Phillips, Chris Heisey, all at the top of the order. I mean, you could hardly argue with the win-loss record. I mean, those who do want to detract will say, well, this team could win even more games if you had had a different lineup order. But how do you fix something that really isn't broken?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Ball hit hard and foul past third. And by the way, the Astros have a new third baseman in there. Dominguez has taken over at third. Matt Dominguez replacing Matt Downs at third base. When we find out as to the reason why, we will let you know. Second straight batter takes a strike 3 call from Lucas Harrell. 2 men out, nobody on.
Well, he getting all the way down the order to Homer Bailey before he got his first strikeout. But after pitching Chris Heisey inside early in the count, he goes right to the outside corner and gets Heisey looking. Harrell's a good pitcher. I mean, he really is. He represents his wins. 10 of them for the Astros represent nearly 25% of the wins of this ball club. That's a lot of load for a rookie to take on.
So Votto bats with 2 men out, nobody on. I said 2. Actually, if you go back to the bottom of the second, Bailey called out on strikes. Phillips and Heisey both called out on strikes. So 3 in a row looking against Harrell. Votto jammed on that pitch.
Well, Votto wastes no time, does he? I mean, he doesn't even leave the batter's box between pitches. Some guys take a sauntering walk all the way around the batter's area. Votto just ready to hit. He likes to keep that back foot. And if you watch that back foot back there, he keeps that very stationary. An old trick from pitchers that get ahead of you 0-2. They want you to move your feet, so they'll throw the ball at your feet to get the hitter to move a little bit. Try to get him uncomfortable in the box, because once a hitter gets set, watch him dig in this back foot. Once he digs in that back foot, he doesn't want to move that baby.
So you get a look now at a 3-2 pitch with 2 men out. They shift him on the infield to pull, and in the outfield to go the other way. Well, we saw a lot of that before he went on the disabled list.
Well, the only way that you foul off a fastball in on your hands down the left field line is you wait as long as you possibly can to commit. And the reason Votto does that instead of pulling that pitch is he doesn't want to be fooled on a breaking pitch. So you'll see a lot of that foul off to the left side.
And he lays off that 3-2. He draws the walk, and here's Votto with a pair of free passes tonight. One on Wednesday. It's amazing. He misses 48 games, and he is still 4th in the league in walks, now with 69, tied for 3rd, and only 11 away from Dan Uggla, who's not playing these days for Atlanta, for the league lead. The go-ahead run on for Ryan Ludwig. By the way, Houston made these changes. Matt Dominguez is at 3rd. Matt Downs has gone to 2nd base. Jose Altuve is out of the game, and if and when we find out as to why, we'll let you know.
Well, I really got to figure that Altuve hurt himself back in the 1st inning when he got on with a base hit and then stole 2nd. And if you watch him right after he got up, he limped around his knee. Watch him go in there. I think he got something went in there hard. He's calling timeout, and it could be that knee right there that he either scraped up really well or good, or maybe twisted somehow. But he's got to leave the ball game, and he's easily their little motor to get that whatever offense they have. He gets it going.
Well, we've mentioned in the past, he was their only all-star this year, Jose Altuve. Ludwig lays off. He's at 2-1. 75 runs batted in a year ago for Ludwig. 74 now. With still a little less than a month to play in 2012. Hits this ball hard to left, but right at the left fielder. Martinez has it. Ludwig gone, and so are the Reds. Through 3, even at 2. to win a Fox Sports Ohio Meyer prize pack. Text Meyer to 37664 to be entered. Good luck. Frazier at 45%, the leading choice. Would you concur with that?
Well, I would, but I think the best chance for these guys to get a postseason award would be a World Series ring. That way everybody on the ball club gets one, and we don't have to play favorites. How do you like that?
I don't mind that at all.
All right.
Actually.
Good thing I don't make up those questions like that, those text poll questions.
That's all in the hands of who is that in the hands of? Lauren White? Is that her thing? Josh Hall, the producer. You come up with those, Josh? Okay. So Fernando Martinez leads off here in inning number 4. Both teams score a pair in the first, nothing since. Rattles around in the Reds dugout. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fernandez bounced out to Phillips his first time. In there today after being a late scratch from their lineup on Wednesday because of a skin irritation on his left thigh. He'll be followed here in the 4th inning by Matt Downs, who's now their second baseman. Then the catcher Chris Snyder. Talking about this Astros club coming in with a record of 14-55 on the road this year. You see that. The first thing that at least came to my mind was I wonder what the worst road record in history of baseball since the 162 game schedule came about is.
Did you find that out?
Well, I asked Joe Luckup, who had it looked up in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Our stat man guru next to me. 17-64 is the worst in a 162 game schedule, meaning half those games are played on the road. 17-64 for the 63 Mets and the 2010 Pirates. Ludwig chasing, and he makes the catch in fair territory. Well, Martinez is 0 for 2.
Well, not only have the Astros been bad on the road, they've been bad lately too. In fact, since the All-Star break, they have yet to win their 10th game. Since the All-Star break, they are 9-42. And I'll tell you, I played on some bad teams. My first couple of years playing with the San Diego Padres, we were a team of a lot of young players, outclassed, outmanned when you get matched up against teams like the Big Red Machine and so on. But I can tell you that it can get into your psyche for a while. And I can't forget the quote that Tony DeFrancesca said when he was named interim manager when the Astros relieved Brad Mills of his duty. He says, I'm going to rid this of the legacy of losing, rid this organization, this team of that. Well, it's a lot easier said than done. They've lost 16 of their last 19. And it can't be a treat coming through the town of the first place Cincinnati Reds.
When he is, as we said, the interim manager, there's no obvious guarantee that he's going to be around with this ball club come next year. He's managed 16 games. He's 3-13. He did say the other day after the series in Pittsburgh that he felt like the attitude of the club has changed for the better in the 2.5 weeks that he has been with the club. This is a team that simply has been unable to win regardless of who's managed this team on the road. 14 wins on the road this year, 5-33 in their last 38.
Yeah, you can spin it all you want about how your attitude is better, but the losses continue to pile up. And in big league baseball, you don't get paid for attitude.
Get paid for one thing.
W's. But if you're a young player trying to make his way in the major leagues, get a look, get a chance to play big league baseball.
That one hits the leg of Downs with 2 strikes, and he is awarded first base.
The Astros may be the best team to be with, because they're giving opportunities to guys that normally wouldn't even be in the big leagues with other organizations.
Well, right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, in Zach Jackson's AFC North notebook, find out what Ravens defensive back felt the need to give A.J. Green a warning. Plus, Ohio State and Central Florida both scored 56 points last week. Find out why the Golden Knights think they will be able to hang with the Buckeyes this week in Columbus. Go-ahead run on for the Astros here in the 4th with 1 out. The veteran Chris Snyder, a strikeout victim his first time. Snyder, 31 years old, former D-back, former Pirate. Signed this past off-season with the Astros as a free agent. By the way, tonight at the ballpark, it's Hispanic Heritage Night here at Great American Ballpark. Pre-game ceremonies included groups representing Central and South American countries dancing on the warning track, presentation by several Reds players to the Ohio Latino Affairs Commission, and a parade of flags representing the 22 Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America and North America. Here's that flag parade down on the field prior to the game. Just off to our left, helping out the public address voice of Great American Ballpark, Joe Zerhusen, is none other than Fernando Aguirre. He's the CEO of Chiquita. He's done it in the past in terms of helping Joe out with the PA announcing, and he's doing it again here tonight. There's Fernando on the left. Joe Z, voice of Great American Ballpark, or as he self-proclaims himself, the voice of the Reds on occasion.
Well, Francisco Aguirre, a huge baseball fan.
Yeah.
Or Fernando Aguirre, huge baseball fan. In fact, he participated not too long ago in kind of a variation of the Reds fantasy camp, when they had a number of the young presidents of YPO organization going down there early before fantasy camp, having one of their camps of their own. He worked out all winter long with Tom Browning to get that arm in shape.
Votto handles that. Snyder is gone. 2 out for Tyler Green. Night game again here tomorrow night at 7:10. That means Reds Live with Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro at 6:30. Bronson Arroyo against right-hander Bud Norris. Then Sunday afternoon, a 1:10 game. Johnny Cueto, quest for number 18 against the right-hander Edgar Gonzalez. Frazier handles that nicely and throws it over the head of Joey Votto at first base. So over to third for the Astros will go Matt Downs. And Tyler Green safely aboard. The second error of the night by Cincinnati.
Well, Todd made a nice play on this ball defensively. He's over a little bit snug in the line. He goes down. He takes his time and just airmails that baby.
Downs gets all the way to third. Reds, one of the top defensive teams in the league, been there all year, really been playing virtually errorless baseball as of late. Frazier commits his 7th error of the year.
Well, they've got the pitcher up. That's the good news right here for Homer Bailey. Now, you'd hope that Frazier doesn't make the error, then you have Lucas Harrell lead off the inning. 173 batting average, not bad, but only 1 driven in. He's a switch hitter.
25th pitch of the inning right there for Homer Bailey. He's had a ball and a strike to his opposite number.
Yeah, the parallels between these two pitchers really remarkable. Both from small towns, both hard-throwing right-handers, both #1 draft picks. Both pitchers led their respective high school teams to the state championship the year that they were drafted. Homer by the Reds, of course. Harrell by the White Sox. Harrell not only pitched his way into the finals and won it for Ozark High School in the Missouri State High School Championship, but he hit his way. I think he hit a double and a home run in the championship game to win 2-1.
Homer gets him to go up the ladder and swing and miss. Gets the strikeout. Number 5 for Homer Bailey, and 2 runners stranded for the Astros. The JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For over 30 Toyota offers available now, visit buyatoyota.com, including mobile. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And as a reminder, you can get ready for Reds action 30 minutes prior to each and every game with Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing here on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live is everything you need to know to get ready. That's Reds Live pregame on your exclusive home of Reds baseball, Fox Sports Ohio. Jay Bruce will lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th inning. How about a Farmers Insurance report card on JB?
Well, on Jay Bruce, how about his career numbers versus his opposing pitcher, Lucas Harrell? 4 for 8. That's an even 500 batting average, a home run. You figure that. And 6 knocked in.
Hard towards center, carrying well, but Maxwell on the track gets it. He's hit the ball hard twice tonight.
Good thing we got that Farmers report in quickly.
So one man out. Since that first inning, since the 2-run single by Ludwig, Harrell has allowed no hits and 1 base runner. That was the walk to Votto in the 3rd.
Well, he's been on a roll, Harrell has. In his second half start, he's allowed 2 runs or fewer in 9 of his 10 starts since the All-Star break. Last 2 games against the Reds, 1 down there and 1 here. He has allowed 1 run in each of those ball games. So he's got a lot of no decisions for a guy with a 3.8 earned run average for a real lousy team. I mean, he's the one bright spot every 5th day when his number comes up.
We talked about Bailey making his 5th start and try at number 11. This is the 4th for Harrell, who last won when he won at Wrigley Field on the 14th of August, 10-1 over the Cubs. And just a very strong outing then, 1 run in 8 innings. Mentioned at the top of the broadcast that this is the 800th game. In this, the 10th year at Great American Ballpark. The Reds do have a winning record here at home. Right by the third baseman Dominguez. He tried to make that backhand swoop pick of that ball and came up empty, and Frazier is aboard with a base hit, and so Frazier extends his on base streak now to the longest by a Reds player this year, 29 games.
You know, you see more and more backhands, but you see backhands from players that really would be better off served to get their body in front of the baseball and take it off your chest. I mean, if he gets that ball, knocks it down, he still has a chance to get Todd Frazier at first base. But it seems like style isn't so vogue, and especially when it comes to the backhand, young players are simply not being taught to move their feet enough to get in the middle of the baseball and field it in front of you, and they all want to look like Scott Rowland fielding it backhand. And hey, guess what? It's not that easy.
You rarely have ever see Scott Rowland miss one of those like that, but then he's put in the time and the effort to perfect that play.
Well, he's also not going to backhand a ball that he doesn't have to backhand. He doesn't do it out of choice. He does it out of necessity.
So Frazier the go-ahead run here in the bottom of the 4th. By the way, we have a update on Jose Altuve. He left the game with a left lower abdominal strain. Left lower abdominal strain for Jose Altuve. With a runner going, Navarro fouls it away. Talking about the Reds and their winning record here, 800th game all time, 415 wins, 383 losses, plus a tie, and a .519 winning percentage. And this will be the final time that the Astros come in here as a National League opponent. They, of course, switching to the American League next year and will be in the American League West Division along with the Texas Rangers, Oakland Athletics, Seattle Mariners, LA Angels. Texas Rangers, mentioned Texas, is the leader now. But the Reds play them again next year or into the future. It'll be an interleague affair. Hit hard by Navarro and into right. Frazier will move up 90 feet. And the Reds, after Bruce lined out, get the next 2 on and the go-ahead run in scoring position.
Now, Navarro's got a nice short swing. He's a switch hitter, so he gives you a little bit more balance in the lineup when you're facing a right-handed pitcher. So now the Reds have, you know, Bruce, Votto, and the switch hitting Navarro to hit from the left side with against the righty. He just goes right downstairs to get that pitch. Nice little line drive into right field. Good slow motion replay brought to you by Performance Honda.
Reds now have amassed 5 hits, or 2 more than the Astros. And here's Wilson Valdez, grounded out his first time.
Watch your lips.
Been a struggle for Valdez this year. Fellow who hit 258 2 years ago and 249 last year with Philadelphia, but this year had a tough time getting above the 200 mark. Astros get one, and that's all they'll get. That one a little slower hit to the shortstop Green. Valdez beats it out. Go-ahead run moves to third. The pitcher will come up. Homer Bailey will bat with runners at the corners and 2 out. Come for the Reds. Stay for more fun. Visit the new Cat Canyon exhibit at Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. Make it a weekend getaway. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. Homer has 5 hits this year. Pardon me, 5 runs batted in this year.
And that's tops among Reds hitting pitchers.
First 5 years of his career, he'd driven in 8. This year, he's added 5. Next pitch will be the 75th of the night for Lucas Harrell. Guy's done a very good job, and it'll be interesting to see if he can get through the night with this number intact. He's allowed only 2 home runs, both to lefties, since the 4th of July. 2 months ago. Bailey hit it pretty well, but handled by the converted infielder, now outfielder Paredes, out in right field, and the Reds are finished in the bottom 4. Dealers are proud to donate this Toyota Tundra to the American Red Cross. First responders from 8 area Red Cross centers will join Reds manager Dusty Baker prior to the Reds game, when this heroic organization will be honored and then awarded the Tundra, compliments of your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For tickets for that game, you can call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Fox Sports Ohio would like to welcome Reds fans from the Academy of Multilingual Immersion Studies at tonight's special guests on the Fan Express to Reds Country. For more information on how you and your group can get on the Fox Sports Ohio Fan Express to Reds Country, simply call 513-765-7600 or visit reds.com/fan express. We welcome those tonight from the Academy of Multilingual Immersion Studies. Bailey back to work, top of the 5th. Walk 1, fan 5. 2 runs on 3 hits against him thus far. Only 1 hit since the 1st. That was a single by Paredes in the 3rd. And he gets the top of the order as Matt Dominguez bats for the first time. Again, he came on, took over at 3rd. Matt Downs went to 2nd when Jose Altuve left the game with a left lower abdominal strain. Hard towards center. Heisey coming. Heisey diving. Heisey took it right off the top of the grass and makes a very nice play, robbing Dominguez of a hit and the first out here in the 5th.
Now, Dusty Baker has the luxury of having a number of players in the outfield to play outfield for him who in the past have played center field. Chris Heisey being one of those. Jay Bruce being another. But Heisey right here gets a nice jump into the left center field gap. Well, he's not afraid to make mid-air catches, is he? I mean, I think some of his best work is done in mid-air.
Now, we've seen him dive for a few balls, miss the ball, and not block it completely to get by him. But, boy, like you say, he's not afraid out there.
Well, that happens, you know.
Great effort by Heisey.
Doug Gallant's got that outfield grass nice and soft. You know, it really... The changeover in Major League Baseball from the old artificial turf, the AstroTurf, to now nice, beautiful grass, fairway-like conditions out there at ballparks like Great American Ballpark, and you see more guys leaving their feet to dive. I mean, back in the day, if you had to dive and land on the hard turf that there was at, say, Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, where it was like concrete, even at Synergy Field / Riverfront Stadium back in the day, it wasn't really all that soft. I mean, you hit and you would bounce. It's a lot easier nowadays.
2 quick strikes and now a swinging strike 3 on Paredes. Strikeout number 6, Bailey. 2 out. How about some of those turf burns, Chris, that some of the guys used to come up with?
And they'd come up with them in the month of April, and they would stay with them all year long. And, you know, on the hottest day of the year, you'd see outfielders or infielders, for that matter, wearing long sleeve shirts to protect them against that, because you played out there on a really hot summer day. The turf would get to be anywhere from 120 to 140 degrees. And not only would you skid it, you'd also burn your elbows.
Astros go down in order for the 2nd time in the game. Homer Bailey locked in. We head to the bottom of the 5th. The 4 managers that have managed more games with the Reds than Dusty Baker. 4 managers who have managed more games with the Reds than number 12, Dusty Baker. If you were paying attention earlier, you know that he has surpassed one that he was tied with. You figure to know who the leader is. So it's those other ones. Toward the hole, and this ball hit by Phillips. Wide throw and sliding right into Wallace is Phillips on the throw over there from Tyler Green. 1 pitch, Brandon is retired. So Phillips 1 for 3. The batter will be Chris Heisey. Heisey, an infield hit and a called 3rd strike. Coming off that very nice defensive play out in center field to rob Dominguez of a hit at the start of this inning. Hammers this one to the gap. That'll go for extra bases. Chased out there by Martinez. To second, Heisey. He'll keep headed to third. Get in there with a slide. 1 out triple for Heisey. 5th of the year.
Now, Heisey has 2 hits on the night, and that triple right there, part hustle on the part of Chris Heisey, the other bad defense by the Houston Astros. Good strong swing on an inside fastball, and he finds a left center field gap. But when the outfielders finally converge and to get to this, they pick the ball up, but they just fire it on back into the infield. They missed the first cutoff man. They missed the second cutoff man. And finally, the ball comes bouncing into the third baseman.
One of those little things that you see in games that cost, right?
Well, it could cost. Now, there's a lot of things going on right here. 2-2 ball game, bottom of the 5th inning. There's a heavy weather system coming in towards Cincinnati. It's right around Indianapolis right now, and it's a line of thunderstorms that does not look like it's going to break up and miss the Cincinnati area. So if you're thinking about a delay, or you certainly want to get a run here in the 5th inning to make this baby official.
Votto drawing his 3rd walk in 3 plate appearances tonight. Joins Heisey on, and now Ludwig, who drove in the 2 runs in the first, will come up here. Missing almost 6 weeks of the year, a little more than that, really. Votto still right behind David Wright, 2nd in the National League in intentional walks. 4 walks in the 2 games now that he has been back. Here's Ludwig. And 1 RBI for Ludwig on the recent road trip that had the Reds in Arizona, then in Houston, but 2 in tonight's game, putting his total at 74. Lined out hard to left his last trip, trying to put the Reds in front for the first time tonight here in the bottom of the 5th.
Now, you got to figure that with Jay Bruce on deck, one of the hottest hitters on the planet right now, Lucas Harrell has to look over his left shoulder, and he sees Jay Bruce warming up down there. A 2-0 count that Ryan Ludwig's going to get a strike here. Thought he threaded the needle there.
And a 4-pitch walk to Ludwig loads them up for Bruce.
Well, let's take a look at this walk as it turned out to Ryan Ludwig. It would be the second walk in a row issued by Lucas Harrell. This is the unintentional variety. He's pitching him away the entire time. He's hoping that by getting away, he thought that 2-0 pitch was a strike, and he misses again. Same spot on 3-0. So a 4-pitch walk to Lucas Harrell. That is our Mazda pitch-by-pitch.
Harrell now at 86 pitches in this game. Now time is called, and Doug Brocail, the pitching coach of the Astros, pays his first visit of this game to the mound to talk things over.
Well, you know you're getting old as a broadcaster when guys that you broadcast games in which they appeared are now wearing reading glasses hanging around their necks.
You have no such problem like that.
Man, come on, Doug. Leave those babies in the dugout.
Mickey Story, a right-hander, throwing in the Astros bullpen. They do have 2 lefties, Wesley Wright and Xavier Cedeno, and of course it was Cedeno Bruce got the best of the other night down in Houston. Actually, that was Sunday, a week ago tomorrow. Borderline strike right there. This partisan crowd disagreed with a call of Gary Cederstrom. Right at the bottom of the zone. He's jammed, floats it out toward left, and Green can't get it. Runners had to wait. Now they all move up. In time is Heisey crossing the plate. Ludwig did a great job of reading that ball, because that's really the only play they potentially had was out at second, and he did a great job of reading that and getting in there ahead of the throw.
You don't have to hit them hard to get them in. You just have to hit them where they ain't. And Jay Bruce gets jammed big time on this pitch right there. The shortstop just can't quite come up with the catch as Tyler Green dives. Heisey at third. He was getting himself in position that in the event that Tyler Green, the shortstop, gloved that ball, diving going backwards away from home plate, he would have tagged up on that ball. So either way, Bruce gets their RBI. This way, though, that keeps the inning going with 1 out.
Frazier with the bases loaded. Bruce an RBI number 94. He continues his assault on the RBIs. Now it's 13 runs batted in his last 7 games. To the mound. They come home and get 1. And now slipping around third and being tagged out there is Ludwig. A little bit of a fake there by the catcher, Snyder. Ludwig tried to put on the brakes, lost his footing. That turns out to be a 1-2-5 double play that ends the inning. for Sunglass Sundays. 100 people will receive free sunglasses courtesy of Fox Sports Ohio and the Ohio Department of Public Safety. To remind you to put it down and don't text while driving. Sunglass Sundays this coming Sunday. Reds Live set, or as Jim Day likes to call it, the Reds Live Condominium. Let's go back to that AT&T trivia question. See what you came up with. 4 Reds managers to manage more games with the Reds than Dusty Baker. Of course, Sparky Anderson, Bill McKechnie, Jack Hendricks, and Hutch, Fred Hutchinson. How many of those did you get, Chris? 3? You got 3 of those?
I had 2 out of the 4. I had Sparky, obviously. I had Fred Hutchinson and Bill McKechnie. I should have known. And Jack Hendricks, well, I would have known that only if my name was Greg Rhodes, the #1 historian of the Cincinnati Reds. I'm not sure if any of you out there got that question.
All right, so Bailey works with a lead here in the 6th inning. Bruce chases this fly ball off the bat of Maxwell and handles it along the line. Out number 1. Chris, let's go back to that last play in the Reds' half of the inning.
Well, Lucas Harrell makes a nice play right here, and he throws to the catcher, and the catcher realizes, Snyder, no way I'm going to get a runner at first base on the double play, so he's going to look around, and you always look to third base, because when a runner rounds third, he can get hung up in no man's land. That's what Ryan Ludwig did in that end of the inning, unfortunately. Reds had a chance right there to play a little add-on.
Quick out here in the 6th inning. Now it's Fernando Martinez, who's 0 for 2. Martinez only 23 years old, out of the Dominican. Up and down a couple of times with this Houston ball club this year from their AAA club. Very nice year down there. 13 homers, 62 batted in. Guy that the Mets thought very highly of some years ago. Up and down with them from 2009 through last year, and then in January of this year claimed off waivers from the Mets by the Astros. Reds trailed 2-0 early, now lead 3-2 in the 6th. Bailey gunning for victory number 11, and this is 5th try. There's Scott Rowland. We talked about Rowland earlier. He had an MRI yesterday, 2 days ago, Wednesday, and they said they saw some hot spots in his shoulder and back that have flared up. One out single by Martinez.
Well,
go ahead.
If he went and had an MRI, I mean, that back must be hurting him pretty good, because he's had back soreness before. In fact, it's been a chronic problem for Scott Rowland for quite a while. So you got to figure that, I mean, Dusty Baker doesn't feel like he's going to be able to play anytime this weekend. So now that the Reds are in September, they've got the luxury of a big lead. They don't have to play Rowland every day. They just have to kind of get him healthy and hope that he peaks physically towards the end of this month.
Rowland talked to Mark Sheldon of MLB.com, and he told him that he had a protrusion in 2 discs in his lower back, which have been causing him trouble. He's trying to address that issue right now with a couple of days off, trying to get pain relief from anti-inflammatory medication and rest. And it's been bothering him for about a month. He said since his setback in Chicago, remember when he missed a couple of games there, almost a week, when he slept wrong in bed and could barely get out of bed in the hotel in Chicago that also came after a bus ride from Milwaukee. He said he's really been uncomfortable and not been able to perform and move offensively and defensively the way he had hoped to since then. That was not quite, but almost a month ago. Downs hit by a pitch his last time. Homer will throw his 90th pitch on his 3-1 offering to the now second baseman of the Astros, Matt Downs. Runner going. Foul ball out of play. See, that fourth inning was his worst by far.
Yeah. That was an inning where he really was facing the bottom of the order. They just had a lot of foul balls, worked high counts. Had the error that was made by Todd Frazier prolong the inning. But Homer Bailey this year, and Dusty Baker has made he's kept a focused eye on the number of pitches that all of his guys have thrown. Because you're looking at a number of pitchers on this ball club that are nearing their all-time high in innings pitched, numbers of pitches that they have thrown. And he knows that, you know, a lot of these guys are just not used to it. So you have to make sure that if you're going to get them strong towards the end of September to get them ready for the playoffs, you have to make sure that throughout the season you take care of their arms. This is the first year that Homer Bailey has not missed time with a sore arm. And that's a big jump forward for Homer.
And even though in 09 he threw between Louisville and here 200+ innings, there have been 2 seasons in between, as you talked about, that he's been on the DL with various ailments.
Well, his delivery to me looks so much better. I mean, it's so much more under control. It's more effortless. It's not one of those deliveries where he's putting every grunt and every absolute bit of energy that he can muster into every pitch. I mean, it used to be that he would rear back and try to throw the ball absolutely as hard as he could every time, and it's not anywhere near that anymore, and I think that's why he's been more durable. One of several reasons. The other is that he's just bigger, stronger, worked out very hard over the winter. Try to tighten up that shoulder area so that loose shoulder syndrome wouldn't be so debilitating to him.
Martinez getting worn out over there. That's 4 consecutive pitches he's been on the move. 4 consecutive that Downs has fouled off. So the 10th pitch of this AB will be forthcoming from Bailey to Matt Downs.
Now there you see the numbers on Homer Bailey, major league numbers. In 2010 he pitched 20 innings in the minor leagues. In 2011 he pitched 30 innings in the minor leagues. So he's really right where he was last year when you consider the minor league innings that he also had.
Boy, I tell you what, Martinez is getting his sprint work in tonight. That's 6 times that he's taken off over there.
Well, we were talking about the number of innings that Homer Bailey has pitched the last few years. Here are the number of pitches that he has thrown at the big league level. So to 2010, add about 300 because he pitched 20 innings in the minor leagues. To 2011, add another 450 or so because he pitched 30 innings in the minors. And here he's exceeded both those totals now. More than 2,700 for Homer this year. That, as you saw, ranks him in the top 10 in the National League. In fact, he and Lucas Harrell, both young guys, are in the top 10 in number of pitches thrown. Incidentally, Johnny Cueto is number 2 in the league, trailing only Clayton Kershaw. That is a number of pitches thrown this season.
And that's more due to the number of innings he has thrown than the fact that he's a strikeout pitcher anymore.
Correct.
Unlike Kershaw.
He's durable and goes deep into a ball game. You're going to throw a lot of pitches.
Finally, Downs is disposed of by Homer Bailey. 13 pitch at bat.
Those are all the locations of all the pitches. Let me hear it, Jim Couch. Down goes Downs.
Down goes Downs. How's
like
that?
It. That high fastball has been very friendly to Homer all night long. Although that looked like it had a little cut in it.
So 2 out for Chris Snyder. 7 of them now in terms of strikeouts for Bailey. He looks to put the closing touches on this 6th inning with an out right here. Snyder is fanned and fouled out to first. He's 0 for 2. Two for 17 now against the Reds this year.
Nice block there by Deoner Navarro. Not textbook, but got the job done. Boy, good ratio of strikes to balls for Homer Bailey.
Here's Jose Arredondo up and throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. Valdez to Phillips, and they dispose of the runner at first. Martinez putting an end to the top of the 6th inning for the Astros, who have now stranded 5. this season for a great offer from McDonald's. Present your ticket at participating locations and you can buy one McDonald's large sandwich and get another one free. That's 2 sandwiches for the price of 1. Make sure you check the back of your Reds ticket for all the details. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Reds come calling against Lucas Harrell, bottom of the 6th, leading by a run at 3-2. And Navarro will lead things off. Harrell so far 91 pitches in this game. Given up 3 runs, 7 hits. He's walked 4, although one of those was intentional. And he's fanned 3. Navarro 1 out of 2. Played Tuesday, had a pair of hits against the Phils. And they hit again tonight. This guy could be a very valuable bat off the bench in the postseason, couldn't he?
Well, you're right. And because the Reds really don't have any left-handed hitters other than the 2 guys they have in the lineup on an everyday basis and Xavier Paul. So you're always looking for a little more balance, especially when you get to the postseason. Nice to have an extra catcher. You wonder if the Reds may keep 3 catchers.
That's a good point. Navarro, a strikeout victim. That's number 1 of the frame. The batter will be Wilson Valdez. A reminder that after every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio will break it down. Interviews with Dusty Baker and Reds players. That's Reds Live post game. Brought to you by Kings Honda, the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Speaking of, there's Xavier Paul in the Reds dugout. Valdez has twice hit rollers toward the shortstop in this game. Difference in this contest right now, a little flare single by Bruce just eluded the glove of the shortstop Tyler Green. It's funny because Bruce, first time up, hit the ball right on the nose, line to center. Second time up, hit it on the nose, caught by the center fielder in right center. 0 for 2 on 2 hearted balls. Then he's jammed, may have broken his bat, flared it over the shortstop head, gets himself a hit, a run batted in. 3-2 Reds lead. Looking for victory number 84.
So why do players practice hitting the ball hard if the hard ones get caught and the soft ones get falling in there for base hits?
Again, Valdez will try Green. Well, the law of averages, Chris.
Well, in baseball, you really never know, do you? Certain things you do know, though, especially surrounding this Reds ball club, that if a pitcher can go 7 innings, the probable win stat becomes a very important statistic. And Homer Bailey, by being able to bat here in the bottom of the 6th, chances are Dusty Baker's going to send him out there with just over 100 pitches under his belt. And if he can get 7 innings in, as airtight as his bullpen is, maybe Dusty can watch his crew hang on to a 3-2 win.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the probable win stat in a while. That's a Chris Welch stat.
No, it's not really. It's a Bill Chuck stat from BillyBall.com, but I think it's a good one, and it's as simple as you can get. I'm ready to get rid of the quality start stat. I really not so sure that tells you much. 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. But the probable win stat is simply going 7 innings, period. No matter how many runs you give up, if you go 7 innings, chances are your ball club's going to win.
I have to say I like it.
I do too. I like simple.
I don't know about replacing it with replacing quality start with that stat. I'd add that one.
Well, I mean, the quality start stat was brought up. It was invented by a sports writer. Anyway, so.
It was in this ballpark, by the way, earlier this year.
Well,
strikeout of Bailey. Reds go in order for the 2nd time in this game, and a 1-run lead intact through 6.
Can it.
Jay Bruce drove in the run that broke the 2-2 tie. Homer Bailey goes to the mound for his 7th inning of work in this game, and the Reds lead 3-2.
Well, he's got the bottom of the order with which to deal. 8, 9, and 1 for Homer, so he can go out there and give himself a nice easy inning. He'll get 7 under his belt, keep his pitch count under control, leave the game leading, and turn it over to a very capable bullpen.
Well, he's at 102 in terms of his pitch count. He'll get 8, 9, and 1, figuring a pinch hitter for the pitcher Harrell. Trying to keep his perfect record against the Astros intact. He's 4-0 through 7 career starts against them. Something we really didn't talk about earlier in the game. When you break things down on Bailey month to month, September throughout his career has been the best month numbers wise that he has had. 20 career starts in September, 8-3 with a 3.38. Comes off of a good start in his first September start of this year down in Houston. Let's put another good one together here tonight. Green is grounded out. Reached on a throwing error by Frazier. Now the ball goes one way, the bat goes another. Reds have double barrel action in their bullpen. Lefty Marshall, righty Hoover. Nicky Story, a righty who was up and throwing earlier, is still moving around down there in the Astros bullpen. Wise decision there by Frazier to let that ball turn and go foul.
Yeah, it was a tough decision when the ball first came off the bat, but the closer it got to Frazier at third base, and when it stopped taking high hops and Frazier realized that this is really going to be a tough play, it took that hard right on the next bounce and harmless foul ball.
Got him. Nicely done by Homer Bailey, and that is out number 1.
8 punch outs for Homer Bailey. Man, this was a good slider right here. Tyler Green, it's his first strikeout of the night after getting on base once with an error, but Homer Bailey's got it working. You know, in the first inning, it looked like he was kind of in cruise control a little bit, and that home run by Justin Maxwell, the deep home run, went more than 400 feet. That woke up Homer Bailey. Since that time, he has been lights out.
Here's Jordan Schaefer, the former Brave, coming off the bench to bat for Harrell. He'll leave the game having given up 3 runs, 7 hits, walking 4, fanning 5. Schaefer bats for him here. Schaefer hitting but .214 with 4 home runs 23 runs batted in. He is 3 for 10 as a pinch hitter this year. There's Lucas Harrell. Be given credit for his 13th quality start of the year. Not a probable win. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, probable win stat. Got to go 7 innings. Harrell only goes 6.
Saw Harrell there talking to the former Red Francisco Cordero. Been on the disabled list for this Astros club. Cordero was involved in Hispanic Heritage Night prior to the game, as he was when he was a member of the Reds. Schaefer disposed of on 4 pitches. So back-to-back strikeouts for Bailey, who hits 9. Closing in on what is his season high and career high of 10.
Well, these Astros just simply can't lay off that high fastball. And boy, when Homer throws it right there, I mean, there's a fine line of where you throw that high four-seamer. If you throw it too low, they hit it. If you throw it too high, it's not tempting enough even to swing at. But that's been a real good strikeout pitch for him tonight.
He's had back-to-back starts against the Astros, in which he's picked up 9 strikeouts, gunning for one more, which would tie his career high of 10, which he did on the 20th of July this year here against the Brewers. This is Matt Dominguez, robbed of a base hit his first time up by Heisey in that headlong effort he made to make that catch back in the 5th inning. Reds fans, for a quick and delicious meal the whole family will enjoy, try JTM's beef or chicken Philly steak kits. That's JTM. Into right, and a base hit for Dominguez. Here comes Dusty Baker now at 117 pitches. Bailey appears finished for the night. The Reds have had the lefty Marshall, the righty Hoover throwing in the bullpen. Dusty talks it over with the right-hander.
Homer's doing his best to talk Dusty to stay in this ballgame. He does not want to come out at all. He said, "What are you doing out here?"
Homer gets a big hand. He'll leave this game as the pitcher of record for the Reds, with the switch hitting Paredes coming up. It's the lefty Sean Marshall who will enter the game. Our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen as the big lefty. pitches. And a quality start, Chris Welsh.
Well, so far, you're right about that. 6 2/3 innings for Bailey, only 2 runs. They came on that 2-run home run back in the first inning. He struck out 9, and he's got to feel very good about pitching so well here at home, where it's been a nightmare for him. Came into this ball game record 3-7, earned run average north of 5.5 here at Great American Ballpark. But all that's in his distant memory now, as he pitched a good ball game tonight and gives way to Sean Marshall.
62nd appearance of the year for Marshall. Reds turn Paredes around from the right side, where he's 1 for 6 this year. Only had 27 at bats coming into this game. Marshall against the Astros, 6 games this year, is not allowed to run, covering 5 2/3 innings with a work.
Hey, I'd like to thank the folks at Smoke Barbecue. I'm up there at Springdale, right on Victoria Drive. Pete Zimmer and his gang put together a tremendous barbecue dinner for us tonight. Had Marty and the Cowboy. You were sitting in the back of the room, didn't say a thing, or just throwing that barbecue down. Josh Hall, Joe Luck up in there.
Dave Yiddy Armbruster came stopping by.
Jesse Jackson, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, was in there helping us put that barbecue down. Man, that was good stuff.
It was great stuff, and we thank Smoke very, very much for their generosity.
We'll be up there to eat there, I'll tell you what.
No question. Marshall's 62nd game, a 2.96 ERA. Right-handers this year hitting 280 against him, which is way higher than that number was the last 2 years when he was a member of the Cubs. Frazier makes the play, and just in the nick of time gets Paredes at first base. Dominguez is stranded. Stretch time at Great American Ballpark. And Joey Harrington once again gets you ready for kickoff with a Ford Fox College Saturday pregame show. Then Rex Burkhead and the 17th-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers head west for an early season test against the UCLA Bruins. Coverage of Fox College football begins tomorrow at 7 Eastern Time. New pitcher on for the Houston Astros is the right-hander Mickey Story relieves Lucas Harrell.
Now, he's a young man, 26 years old, originally drafted by the Oakland Athletics, 31st round, 2008. Not a big guy, 6'2", 185. First year in the major leagues, 15th ball game.
So Story takes over for Harrell. 3 runs, 7 hits in 6 innings for him. Brandon Phillips leads things off. Story joined this club on the 3rd of August. Led all Astros relievers in innings pitched since that time. Contract purchase from AAA Oklahoma City down there, 7-4 with a 3.05 ERA, working mostly out of the bullpen. Jonathan Broxton, the big man, up in the Reds bullpen. Reds trying to put a little bit more separation between themselves and this Houston club. Phillips gets them excited on that ball, hit deep down the right field line, albeit foul. Reds hang on and win here. Pittsburgh doesn't have an uprising in their game at home against the Cubs. Reds will be able to lower that Pirate elimination number by a couple. It sits at 16 for them. And they're trailing 7-0 to the Cubs. PNC Park in Pittsburgh in the 7th inning. Cardinal game has been delayed by rain. That rain system that is slowly but surely moving our way. It stretches the length of the United States, north to south. To left. Playable for Martinez. That's the first out here in the 7th. Brandon 1 for 4. The batter will be Chris Heisey. Taking a look, 117, by the way, 117 pitches by Bailey, the most he has thrown in a game this year. Heisey has scored 2 of the 3 Reds runs tonight, including that go-ahead run in the 5th inning when he tripled to left center field and scored on the RBI single by Bruce. So now a 7-game hitting streak for Heisey is his best of the season. And he puts a multi-hit game together. 2 for 4 on Wednesday. 2 hits again tonight.
Well, after watching Mickey Story pitch a few games, we saw him down in Houston. We've seen him again tonight. I would call him a slider machine. He just loves to throw that little teasing slider down and away to right-handers. You can make yourself a nice living in the major leagues, middle relief, doing that if you can control that pitch.
Left-hander now up and throwing in the Astros bullpen. That's Wesley Wright. Nicky Story, the 2nd pitcher of the night, Tony DeFrancesco's club. That one's going to fall. That's a 3-hit night for Chris Heisey. Dropped in there between Martinez and Maxwell and Green. Little Bermuda Triangle action right there, and Heisey is 3 for 4.
Yeah, kind of a late reaction right there by the third baseman or the left fielder Martinez, because Heisey takes a full swing right here, and then you see the ball come off his bat at that trajectory. It has a tendency to kind of freeze you as an outfielder. By the time you realize it's on the end of the bat, it's too late. See the step that he took backwards, and there's no way you're going to catch up to it then. So Heisey picks up hit number 3. Reds would love a little quick action to give their bullpen some breathing room.
Votto in this game does not have an official at bat. He's walked 3 times. Votto hits it well toward left center field, but going to be handled out there by Martinez. Spins and gets it back in. Out number 2. So Ludwig, who drove in a pair earlier, will bat with 2 men out. Reds by a run at 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th. Wondering, you look ahead at the Astros 8th inning with the lefty Wallace due up first. Does Dusty elect to stay with Sean Marshall, one more batter, then bring in the big man Broxton, or does Broxton start the inning? What do you think?
Well, I think he'll probably start the inning, because what I think Dusty likes to do is to guarantee that the relievers that he brings in start with a clean inning. He always likes that, and I think it makes some sense. Now, if the history among the batter versus pitcher is so remarkable that you want to make a move otherwise, then you can certainly see why not. But normally he starts a clean one.
Well, we'll find out in a moment. And Ludwig fans to end the bottom of the 7th. Season. That's Penn Station East Coast subs. Find a Penn Station location near sections 130 and 414 and enjoy all the baseball action while eating a Penn Station signature sub and those authentic fresh cut fries. See your Reds here at GABP. Call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or go to Reds.com.
Well, you're absolutely right about leaving Sean Marshall in the ball game, and that's exactly what Dusty Baker will do. Marshall was summoned with 2 outs in the 7th. He retired the switch hitter Jimmy Paredes, and now with a left-handed hitting Brett Wallace due up. Wallace is going to be number 3 hitter in the lineup. They're not going to pinch hit for him, so he'll come in and face Marshall for the 4th time in his career. He is now 0 for 3 against Marshall.
Lefty-lefty matchup begins the 8th inning with the Reds by a run at 3-2. Limited number of at-bats, but Wallace has actually hit better average-wise at 300 than he has against right-handers at 282. Finds himself in the hole here.
Well, Brett Wallace is a type of player that he's more of a gap-to-gap hitter, not a home run hitting first baseman. They don't expect a lot of power out of him. Got to learn how to hit lefties. You're going to stay in there every day, though.
Breaks his bat, and Frazier gets to that one before it hits the dirt. Wallace is gone. Marshall has done his job. Dusty Baker emerges quickly from the Reds dugout. So Marshall faces 2, retires 2. Nice play there by Frazier. Good reaction.
So Broxton gets a clean inning after all.
Dusty makes his way to the mound. Will take the ball from Sean Marshall. Good job by the Richmond, Virginia native, and he's out of the game. Reds make the change, and big Jonathan Broxton enters the contest. 7th inning to get Paredes. He did that. Kept in the game to get Brett Wallace. Did that. 2/3 of an inning. All zeros across the board on his line. And now it's a 28-year-old Jonathan Broxton who takes over.
Well, I'll tell you what an addition Broxton has made to this bullpen, because you've got Aroldis Chapman at the very back of the bullpen. Now you take care of the number 8 inning with Jonathan Broxton, former closer, a guy that seems to be getting a little bit better as the season wears on. And the whole idea of shortening the ball game is exactly what the Reds are able to do with this bullpen. So you got back-to-back lefties. You take care of that with Marshall. Then you bring in Broxton, and then everybody wants to stay around for Aroldis Chapman.
Justin Maxwell supplied the offense for the Astros in this game back in the first with a 2-run homer. Bats here with 1 out. First batter to face Broxton. 5 straight appearances for Broxton, totaling no runs, 1 hit, and no walks, dating all the way back to the 21st of August against Philadelphia. And he gets him on a pop-up. Way up there near the mound, and Votto handles it for the 2nd out. The batter will be Fernando Martinez. Left-hander had a hit his last time. 1 of 5 the Astros have picked up in this game. Houston got a 2-run homer in the first by Maxwell and led 2-0. The Reds answered with 2 of their own in the bottom half. A 2-run single in the left center by Ludwig tied the game, and then the run in the bottom of the 5th. And the 1-out triple by Heisey, and the 2-out single by Bruce gave the Reds a 3-2 lead. No scoring since that time. We play here in the top of the 8th with 2 out. Reds haven't played this Astros club here since the first month of the season. Back in April, they won 2 out of 3, lost the first game of that series to Wandy Rodriguez 6-4, and Cueto beat Harrell 6-0. And the Reds came back on a Sunday afternoon for a 6-5 win over the Astros on the 29th of April. Houston has not been here since then. Reds have played 3 visits to Houston since that time. Ended up going 7-2 down there. Very late on that one. Chris, you hear the term all the time. This team or that team built for the regular season, but not the postseason. Or this team is really built for the postseason. How do you look at this Reds club?
Well, I'm not so sure that I really agree with that, other than the fact that if you have 2 real good top of the rotation starters and an airtight bullpen, especially at the very back end of the bullpen, then you're built for postseason. Then you're a team that nobody wants to play, because you can run Johnny Cueto out there, you run Matt Latos out there, you close with Broxton and Chapman, and it's good night Irene.
And you've got a very strong defense.
Yeah.
So you think if teams look at the Reds and say, I don't know if I want to match up with them or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That one skipped on the ground, it looked like, and hit the foot of Martinez. And he's on with 2 out. Second hit batsman of the night by Reds pitching. Let's take a look at that now. Oh boy, right on the left knee.
He was lucky that ball was a breaking ball.
Brian Bogusevic now runs at first base for Martinez. Jason Castro will bat for Matt Downs. Bogusevic on the move. And he gets the steal.
Boy, what a jump he had. He was not a guy that is known for his stolen bases. Bogusevic is more of a pinch hitter than he is a base stealer, but he had a good lead right there, and he was betting everything that Broxton was not coming to first base, and he went on his first move, never really waited to see whether he was going to the plate or not, and Bogusevic gets in there way early.
Well, it's his 14th of the year, and so now a hit would tie this game with 2 out. Castro at .264, a couple of home runs, 2 for 5 as a pinch hitter. This guy's done a nice job against the Reds this year. Castro 8 for 20, 2 runs batted in against Reds pitching. No balls, 2 strikes. Tying run in scoring position. Out at second, Bogusevic, 2 out. Reds in front, 3-2. Well, a lot of the folks here thought that was strike 3, but Harry Cedarstrom said no, outside. Evens account 2-2.
Oh, I think it was outside. The fact that Deanna Navarro was kind of stationed outside on the outer part of the plate. He didn't have to move very much to make that catch. So it gives the impression to all those umpires sitting in the stands that it was a strike.
Got him. Inning over. Nicely done. Jonathan Broxton hit the batter with 2 out, but disposes of the pinch hitter Castro. 10th strikeout of the night for Reds pitching. Game occurred in the bottom of the 5th inning. Game tied at 2. Bruce up there. Bases loaded. Got jammed on the pitch. Flares it out into left center. Tyler Green can't come up with it. Scoring for the Reds is Heisey. The Reds take a 3-2 lead. That's tonight's John Merrill hot dog play of the game. New pitcher on is Wesley Wright. He'll face Bruce, then Frazier, then Navarro. Reds batting for what they hope will be the last time tonight.
Well, Wesley Wright has faced Jay Bruce more than any other player on this Reds ball club. He seems to be the guy called out of the Houston bullpen no matter who the manager is. Every time Jay Bruce comes up in a situation where you need a left-handed one only guy, and that would be Wesley Wright. Jay Bruce is 5 for 11 with a couple of home runs against this left-hander. That computes to a .455 batting average. So Jay Bruce ought to be feeling pretty good right now.
Here's your new left fielder, Brian Barnes. There's Brian Bogusevic out in right field now for the Astros. Jimmy Paredes has moved into second base. Brandon Barnes, I said Brian, pardon me. Brandon Barnes is in left. Tony DeFrancesco appears as he did down in Houston to use everybody on the roster in most games.
Well, they've got 31 with all the call-ups that they have had.
So again, Barnes is in left. Brandon Barnes is in left. Brian Bogusevic, who pinch ran for Martinez, stays in the game. He's now in right. Jimmy Paredes, who was playing right, has moved into second base. Castro, who would pinch hit for the second baseman, Downs out of the game. Barnes in that spot. The new pitcher, Wright, is in the 9 hole. Get all that?
No, not one bit of it. But I'll be looking on your scorecard the rest of the game.
That's
anyhow.
okay. That's all right. Meanwhile, Bruce leads it off against Wesley Wright.
I mean, at this point, does it really matter? I mean, with Chapman coming in next inning, does it really matter where you are in the order?
Well, through all that, they kept the pitcher in the 9 spot, so they'll have to pinch hit for him anyway.
He makes every guy look like a pitcher.
Good observation. From 3-0 to 3-2 to Bruce. So Mickey Story, who was the pitcher prior to Wright, went 1 inning, allowed a hit, struck out a batter. Sean Marshall 2/3 of an inning. Broxton came on 2/3 of an inning. This stays as a 1-run game as it is now. Aroldis Chapman will come on, the league's leader in saves with 35, to try to nail down another one in the top of the 9th. First breaking in, now back is Maxwell, and he had to reach up on the move to catch that 3rd line drive of the night by Bruce. So the only hit tonight that he was able to get a hit from was the ball he hit the worst. Isn't that something?
Go figure.
1 for 4 for Jay, but he does extend his hitting streak to 7 with that RBI single in the 5th. Now the Astros will make a change. So Wesley Wright came in to get Bruce. He does that. The Astros will make another pitching change, and they will bring in Hector Ambrose to pitch to Todd Frazier. He'll do that when we come back. Bottom of the 8th, Hector Ambrose on. Wesley Wright, 1/3 of an inning, gets you out of Bruce. Tony DeFrancesco plays the odds and brings in the right-hander.
Well, Ambrose has got a good arm. We saw him down in Houston. Hasn't thrown all that many ball games. Only 8 of them now, including tonight. Before this season, the only time he was in the major leagues was 2010 when he pitched for the Cleveland Indians.
Frazier tonight 1 for 3. A lot of talk this week because of the hot week that Bryce Harper has had. His name's gotten thrown around and again in the Rookie of the Year discussion for the National League. As Frazier shoots this ball into right. He handled out there by Bogusevic, 2 out. But for my money, that guy Frazier is still the leading candidate.
Well, I would say so. I think he's got to be among the leading candidates, and I also think that Zach Cozart, despite the batting average being down compared to Frazier, should be among the leading candidates as well. What he gives you defensively up the middle, everyday shortstop, should not be overlooked.
No question.
Sidelined for a few days with a sore back. And I think, this will give him a chance to recharge his batteries a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that, Zach Cozart, having played only in the minor leagues a full season at any time before this year. I mean, minor league baseball is over now, unless you're in the playoffs. So the big leagues play 1 extra month. And then if you go to the postseason, you might play 1 extra month more than that. So those guys have never done that before. Don't know what a grind it is those last 30 days. And then, of course, being in the postseason.
Navarro bats with 2 out. I'm glad you mentioned minor league playoffs. We want to congratulate the Bakersfield Blaze and Ken Griffey Sr. for his club making the postseason. They won the first half of that split season out in the Cal League, ended up 72-68 overall. They'll start tomorrow against the winner of the San Jose Modesto game tonight. Bakersfield had a first-round bye. That San Jose Modesto series is tied 1-1. So Bakersfield will take on the winner of that series in a best-of-5 beginning tomorrow. Good luck to them.
Nice to have Ken Griffey Sr. still in the organization, doing a great job as minor league manager. I can see him get a shot somewhere sometime in the big leagues.
One other note then, the Billings Mustangs went into Wednesday with a 1-game lead in their division with 2 games to go. They lost Wednesday and lost Thursday and were eliminated from postseason play. Do not make the postseason out in the Pioneer League. Pat Kelly's club eliminated on the last day of the regular season. So the Reds get 1 team, Bakersfield, out of their minor leagues in the postseason this year, and we wish them the best of luck. Check swing, though. Navarro did indeed go around. So Ambrose does the job. He gets Frazier and Navarro, setting the stage now for the 9th inning. Chapman into the game. Matt Dominguez diving and took a hit away. Nice play by Chris Heisey. Our Home Depot doing more on defense play of the night. And throw in 3 hits for Heisey tonight. So it's been a good evening for the Red center fielder.
And you wonder, maybe putting the pressure on Drew Stubbs a little bit, getting a few days off, and Dusty Baker's words to kind of clear his head, work on a few things. They have been working on things both in the cage underneath the stadium and then on the field during batting practice. But hey, in the meantime, you put Chris Heisey in there and he gets 3 hits, and all of a sudden the other guy gets motivated. So it'll be interesting to see what Dusty does with his lineup tomorrow. But right now he is thinking about tonight. Aroldis Chapman. Look at the numbers on Chapman. I mean, they're just ridiculous. 100. Oh, we'll lose that and do this. 117 strikeouts, 17 walks. Last year, when he struck out 71 batters in 50 innings, everybody went, whoa. Isn't that tremendous? Well, he's completely blown away that type of stat this year. And he will face, unfortunately for the Astros, the bottom part of their lineup.
Well, he's converted 27 straight saves. That's a single season Reds record. Second in the big leagues this year to the 28 straight saves by Joe Nathan. Of course, he leads the National League with 35 of them. He gets the veteran Chris Snyder to lead it off.
Snyder's up there swinging just about the time Chapman starts his move towards home. That's the only way you can get around early on a Chapman fastball.
Well, he comes in with a breaking ball there.
Well, that may be the slowest pitch we've seen Aroldis Chapman throw all year long at 85. Snyder wants to get out of the batter's box and clear his head, saying, am I really supposed to negotiate 85 and then maybe 105 on the next pitch? Francisco Cordero, former Reds closer for years, here for 4 years. Coco was, and he's watching his replacement.
Got him in the air. Let's see if it's playable. Navarro, basket catch right up against the screen. Nicely done by the veteran Navarro. 1 out.
And as baseballs, when they're popped up like that, they've got spin on them, and it may have looked like it was actually out of play, and that the last second curves in, and he just puts his glove right up against the net and says, do I have it? Whoops, there it is.
Look at that concentration by Deanna Navarro.
So that's why you don't put any sodas on that little ledge right there.
Unless you want to wear them, right?
Yep.
Here's Tyler Green.
Of course, here in the diamond seats, you get a new one free anyway.
J.D. Martinez on deck to pinch hit. Remember, Chapman, who leads the league in saves, did not pick up save number 1 until the 20th of May. Appearing for the 7th time against the Astros. Totaling 6 innings. 13 strikeouts. Bruce closing on this, but he's not going to get it. Tyler Green gets himself a base hit. That snaps an 0 for 12 drought, and he does it against Chapman. That's a tying run on. Now J.D. Martinez will pinch hit for Ambriz. Chapman trying to save this game for Bailey. Reds trying to hang a loss on Lucas Harrell. Martinez at .235 with 11 home runs, 2 for 9 as a pinch hitter. Chapman trying to become the first Reds pitcher to lead the National League in saves since Jeff Shaw did it back in 1997 when he picked up 42. Chapman has 35. That's going to get out of play. Crowd on this Friday night of 23,785. Snyder fouled out. A very nice play by Navarro against the netting. Tyler Green singled to right. Pinch hitter J.D. Martinez batting now. Top of the order featuring Matt Dominguez next. Ball hit into left center field. That's going to fall for a hit. Green will turn the corner, get to third. And the Astros have them at first and third with one out.
Well, the Astros in the bottom of the lineup here proving to be a little bit pesky to Aroldis Chapman, and really what we have not seen out of Chapman, and I can tell you that it's the same observation that Dusty Baker's making, same one that Brian Price is making, that he's just not blowing hitters away the way he did a couple weeks ago. We haven't seen him throw 100 miles an hour in several appearances, and you don't judge a player by the radar gun, certainly, but it's nothing worth worrying about, but certainly something worth observing and watching. We're just so used to seeing Aroldis Chapman come in and automatically plant 3 outs on the board, usually a couple of strikeouts, if not punching out the side, and then taking it on into the house for a team to mount a rally against him. We haven't seen this since the Minnesota Twins.
Matt Dominguez brings that one right back into the visiting TV booth off to our right. Jim DeShays, Bill Brown jumping all around over there.
Well, typical play-by-play evasive action right there. Bill Brown diving out of the way. Jim DeShays, the big guy here, trying to save his partner and couldn't get over there in time. Don't worry, big guy. I'm there for you.
And I expect the same from you. Hit hard to left field, carrying well, and out of the ballpark. A home run. Matt Dominguez in the top of the 9th inning, a 3-run homer, and the Astros have taken a 5-3 lead over the Reds. The first blown save for Aroldis Chapman since the 24th of June here against Minnesota.
Well, that high fastball right there is normally something nobody gets on top of, much less hits out of the ballpark. I mean, the most unlikely team against the most unlikely pitcher to do it against.
Fourth home run ball given up this year by Chapman. Deals now with Jimmy Paredes, who's the second baseman these days. Matt Dominguez, who did not start this game but took over when Jose Altuve left with an injury, comes up big in the ninth inning for Houston. Now the Astros bullpen gets busy quickly. Up is a right-hander down there, Wilton Lopez. Second home run of the year by Dominguez since his call up, and now a base hit into right, the bat of Wallace.
Well, that last fastball by Aroldis Chapman, very pedestrian by his standards, at 94 miles an hour, and that's going to bring Brian Price out, Deanna Navarro out. Now, they've not seen hitters center Chapman like they have tonight. And now this opens up a lot of speculation. Does he physically feel okay? Is he getting a little bit tired? Does he need a few days off, more than what he's been given here the last couple of days? Because you rarely, if ever, see a left-hander level a fastball like Brett Wallace does right there and line drive into right field. Again, you hold him to such high standards.
Sure.
That even a couple of base hits leaves you scratching your head. Normally, you got a closer out there. There's always some chinks and some setbacks. But with Chapman, you're just so used to him just breezing through the opposition that this is way out of the norm.
So again, the first blown save for Chapman since the 24th of June against Minnesota. His fifth blown save of the year. First home run ball is given up since the 24th of June when Josh Willingham went deep against him with one on in the ninth inning. And his streak now, 27 straight saves converted, ends with this one here against the Astros. Now the Reds will have their work cut out for them in the bottom of the ninth. Maxwell homered earlier in the game. Reds in their half of the ninth will have the 8-hitter Valdez, then the pitcher spot, then the top of the order. No 11th win for Bailey. No 10th loss for Harrell. Homer will have to wait another start. And his 6th try for number 11. The 2 blown saves in that period. Trying for number 11. J.J. Hoover up in the Reds bullpen. And a strikeout of Maxwell puts an end to the top of the ninth inning. But the Astros, winners of only 14 road games all year, get 3 in the top of the ninth. Brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the nation again in the U.S. News and World Report's 2012 Best Children's Hospitals. By the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your Tri-State Chevy dealers. And by the new summer barbecue menu at Burger King. Let's have a barbecue today. Take a look at our Miller Time moment of the night. Unfortunately, for this young man, Homer Bailey, victory number 11 will elude him again for the 5th time. Twice in those 5 outings, he's had a lead leaving the game, but a blown save took it away. That's the story tonight. 2 runs, 5 hits, 6 2/3 innings for Homer, but will not be involved in the decision. Instead, the Reds need to come from behind, something they've done a lot of this year. One of the top come-from-behind win teams in the big leagues, and they'll need to do it here. They have 38 come-from-behind wins this year. Miguel Cairo will hit for Valdez. He'll lead off against his right-hander, Wilton Lopez.
Well, he's not had all that much major league time. Lopez has. He comes into this ball game having been in 4 different years in the major leagues. 55th game this year. He's their closer now. But he's a strike thrower. He does not throw very many walks at all. Look at only 6 walks and 46 strikeouts.
That hits the base, and that's a fair ball. And the Reds will get the leadoff man on, and just like that, bring the tying run to the plate here in the bottom of the 9th. Miguel Cairo, his 6th pinch hit of the year, batting there for Valdez. Reds catch a break.
Boy, you're not kidding about that. How many times do you actually see that happen? Not very often at all. Pat Dominguez gets all turned around down there. That ball goes right off the bag. Nothing he could do about that.
Now Xavier Paul will bat for Chapman. This guy has done amazing things off the Reds bench. 9 for 24 as a pinch hitter. Overall, he's at .327. 1 home run. He's driven in 5.
Watch this guy in batting practice, and he just got a nice short stroke. Just a real quick, simple approach to the baseball.
Top pinch hitters in the National League. You see Paul on the list.
Well, all those guys can hit a fastball. Same for Xavier Paul.
Now he's ahead 2-0.
Oops.
There's 1. There's 2, and Paul wraps into a 4-6-3 double play. That's the 3rd double play of the night turned by Houston.
Paul hits his ball right on the button. Unfortunately for the Reds and Xavier Paul, it's right at the second baseman. That is DP lane. And Wilton Lopez likes it.
Lopez appeared in all 3 games against the Reds down there last weekend. Had a win, had a 1-2-3 inning. And the Reds were able to get to him for a run, 2 hits and 2/3 of an inning on Sunday. He gave up doubles to Heisey and Cairo. Now he gets Phillips, slow roller, falls down, base hit. Swinging bunt by Phillips, and he's aboard. Heisey will come up there as the tying run. Any way you can get him right there.
A little swinging bunt. The Reds have had their opportunities in this inning. You can see that one coming. I'm not so sure he gets Brandon Phillips anyway.
And now it's Heisey. He's hit 6 home runs this year. Tying run on. Pardon me, tying run at the plate.
If you're Tony DeFrancesco, the Astro manager, you're thinking, all right, got a double play ball, I got 2 outs, nobody on. And now we've got to start worrying again with HOU at the plate as a tying run.
Chris already has 3 hits tonight. Slowly to short. Green to first. And the game is over. And the Astros come off the mat with 3 in the top of the 9th inning on a 3-run homer by Matt Dominguez. And they defeat the Reds in the first game of this series by the final score of 4-3. And with it, the consecutive save streak at 27, the longest in Reds franchise history, comes to an end for Aroldis Chapman. Well, it just goes to show you, I guess, Chris, that even the best, like Chapman has been this year, prove that they are human on occasion.
Oh, what a stunner. I've got to tell you that I think everybody in this ballpark is probably thinking the same thing. Not a huge crowd tonight, just under 24,000, but many of them stayed. Many of them expecting a very system-like, business-like win by the Reds. Chapman would come in the 9th inning, blow away the Astros, and be just like it is every night. But not tonight. Tony DeFrancesca nails down his 4th win as an Astro manager against 13 losses, and he's happy about that. The Reds, they go back into the clubhouse stunned and have to regroup and come back tomorrow.
Second game of this series comes up tomorrow night. Meanwhile, tonight, Reds Live post game right after the break. Again, the final, Houston 5, the Reds 3.